its head in the clouds, home to some of the world's tallest buildings. Nobody wants to be in on the ground floor here. You haven't made it in the Windy City unless you're a half a mile up in the air with a swimming pool over your head. Meanwhile, down on terra firma, summer brings the people on the streets, giving the city a faintly European air. Winters are tough here. The wind chill off Lake Michigan can freeze your eyeballs. So you can't blame some people for taking no chances, even in the summer. The optimists take to the beach. Yeah, Chicago's got a beach, right here in the middle of town. Chicago, of course, has also got pork belly futures. It's got the Bulls, pride of the basketball court. It's got the Bears for football, it's got the Cubs for baseball, but this ain't no menagerie. Except when Hollywood comes to town. For the first showing of the Caped Crusaders' Second Spasm, starring Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, Danny DeVito as the Penguin, and Michael Keaton, once more Gotham City's scourge of wrongdoers, righter of wrongs, the masked avenger himself, as Batman returns.
The time has come to punish all of Gotham!
You've gone too far with the Penguin.
I have. Yeah.
You've exceeded the bounds of good taste now.
Oh, absolutely. This is like something that I know you guys in London love, you know what I'm saying? Just go kill to this and butcher to that, and let's go wild, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's all that dribbling of the black stuff.
I know, this is the thing, you know, that's the stuff that's going to hook them in London, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I feel good about it. I feel that, I finally get to, pull out all the stops and approach Richard III. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Just approach it in a kind of a movie that you couldn't really do it. You know, I mean, I really couldn't get to kill the babies. You know what I'm saying? You see? Olivier got to really kill those little babies up in the tower. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't get to do it.
But you got the penguins.
I got the penguins.
Got a lot of those penguins.
Sweet babies.
Do you get on well with penguins?
I get on well with penguins, yes. Now. It took a while, but you learn.
Well, I mean, there's loads of penguins,
there
obviously.
There are obstacles, with a penguin. Yeah. What?
You don't have to have a relationship with them.
It's very difficult to find things. What?
Yeah. You did a little bit of waddling yourself.
I did some waddling, yeah. We did all the waddling in the nose, the beak. It's very nice, yeah.
Did you have to train on eating sushi and stuff? Because you eat a lot of raw fish. Or do you enjoy raw fish?
I eat my share of raw fish. I would put some sushi inside, like some, but then after a while, you get into it, and once you get past the smell, And you have to make certain adjustments. You're walking around with flippers on, all day long. You figure, it's like you could web things to death, it's like really tough. But the most difficult thing was that first cold brush of glue on your nose in the morning. So I'd come in with a cup of tea, and I'd sit there, and the makeup artist, V. Neal, would be standing there with her brush poised, and I would just sit there with my face in my tea, not wanting that first cold stroke on my beak, And so, and once I put it down, she would do it and once the nose went on, fine. What I would do is I had a TV set up behind me and a video and a laser disc, movie laser disc, video disc. And I would play my favorite films and I'd watch them in the mirror while she worked. So I would just sit and watch movies. I'd watch a movie a morning, so it went past the time.
Yeah.
Any foreign films, because of the subtitles, it was difficult to watch in the mirror.
I mean, did you grow up reading Batman comics?
Yeah. I was a fan of all the superheroes, and Batman was one of the, crime fighters. Not really a superhero, but a crime fighter.
Do you ever see yourself as being the Penguin?
No, I never did. In fact, when I was finishing War of the Roses, as a matter of fact, it was right around the time we talked. There were news items, because Batman, the first Batman, was right around that time, right. and there were news items saying I remember Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner and I were together one morning for breakfast, and Michael said, "Look at this! I see this thing in the newspaper that you're going to do in the next Batman movie. You're going to play the Penguin." And I said, "I never talked to anybody about this. I've never heard about this. I mean, I resented the fact that they just, they put anything in the paper that they want to do." And I said, "Well, no, I wouldn't do this." And then when I spoke with Tim, a year or so later, I hooked into what he was talking about. He's a wonderful man, wonderful director. Was really great. He has a great visual, sense. And because if you took Tim Burton, put him in a room, took anybody else, stuck him in another room, gave him the same subject to talk about, I mean, you're never going to get close to where Tim's going. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
you're
no,
never
no.
going to get close to it.
He's the Brothers Grimm.
He's out there, babe. Yes, God love him.
Yeah.
Poor
Because
Cherry.
everybody's here in Chicago because of you. You're directing a new movie, aren't you?
That's right. I'm doing a new
With Jack
movie.
Nicholson?
That's right. I'm directing Jack Nicholson in Hoffa. Hoffa was, one of the most powerful men that came through the labor movement in the United States. He created, literally, brought the Teamsters from having 35,000 members to 1,900,000 members. He brought the working man in America and man and woman into the middle class. I mean, he brought the Teamsters, gave everything, 24 hours a day, to these people who were in his union.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough job. Somebody's got to do it.
Gotta fly.
Meow.
In this follow-up to the first Batman, the Caped Avenger has more than one deviant baddie to contend with. The last word in feline ferociousness.
As I was saying, I'm a woman and can't be taken for granted. Life's a bitch. Now so am I.
Catwoman, as played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Who are you? Who's the man behind the bat? Maybe you can help me find the woman behind the cat.
Michelle, do you even like cats?
Yes, I do.
Thank heaven for that. Why was there such competition for the role as Catwoman?
Well, it's a really good part, and there are in a given year there are only so many good parts for women to play, and whenever there is one, there's a lot of competition. And for some reason, I think, given the nature of this particular movie, the media kind of turned it into a much bigger kind of competitive event, I think, than it really was.
I just wondered why anybody would want to get into a role in which you're dressed up in black plastic all the time. It must be very
Who wouldn't want
uncomfortable,
to?
first of all.
It is. It wasn't plastic. It was rubber. But
Ooh.
but but I didn't know that going into it.
If you'd known that, would you still have done the part?
Probably.
Yeah. You're going to drive a lot of fetishists insane all over the world. Does this give you a sort of a thrill inside to know that all these people are going to be climbing walls?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know. I think that's something I don't really think about.
And the whip, of course, that'll bring out the worst in people as well.
Or the best.
Did you do a lot of practice for that whip?
Yes, I did. I started training about a month before shooting, every day, and I had a remarkable teacher. He was just such an amazing person. He had this kind of Zen approach to the whip, and he was very unusual in his approach. In that it was really an extension of you, and it was very graceful and beautiful, actually.
It was like the Force in Star Wars.
I hadn't quite thought of it in those terms, but yes.
And do you still use it now that the movie's over? Do you
No,
have the whip at home?
I've been in New York and my whips are in Los Angeles, so I will be reunited with them in a few weeks.
Do you do all your own stunts? There's a lot of flick-flacking and backflips and everything going on here. Gymnastics.
I didn't do any gymnastics. I did a lot of the fighting. Not all, but I did a lot of the fighting, and I did all of the whipping.
Oh, have you done any of the karate? I mean, did you learn any karate for this?
I couldn't say that I learned martial arts, but I was training in martial arts just to have a feeling of it.
Isn't that extraordinary? You set out to be an actress, and you end up knowing how to handle a bullwhip and learning a little bit about karate. You couldn't have expected that.
No, I didn't.
Or swallowing budgies.
Swallowing budgies. Excuse me?
Budgie, it's a
What's a budgie?
little bird. I saw you swallow a bird in that
it's
movie.
a finch, actually.
That's even crueler.
It's a tropical finch.
And you did that for real?
Mm-hmm. I didn't swallow it.
No, because it flew out again. But
Yes.
how many takes did you have of putting the bird in your mouth?
Not many. Not many. The bird was very well trained, and we were very well rehearsed, and it was in very short period
How
of
does
time.
it feel, a bird in your mouth?
Odd. Very odd.
How long is it since you worked in a supermarket? 10 years now? Or more?
14.
You went up for a beauty contest, you won it. Was the object of that to win the beauty contest or to meet perhaps somebody who could get you a job in movies?
The object was to meet, specifically the object was to meet one of the judges who was a commercial agent.
So your early life, it appears to have been one of not studying very hard and just enjoying the sunshine and having a good time. When did this penny drop?
I worked, though, but, I've always been in the workforce since I was 14.
Yes, of course, you worked in a supermarket.
Yeah.
But when did the penny drop that you could perhaps go on to something else? Or was it just an arbitrary decision you took?
When at around the age of 19, I basically just asked myself what it is I wanted to do, really and truly, not what should I do, what do I think I can do. If somebody were to just hand it to me, what would it be? And it was acting, and I frankly was a little surprised at the answer that I came up with.
Yeah. What's been the most interesting part? Obviously the last one. I mean, one thinks of Les Liaisons Dangereuses and Baker Boys.
What's been the most interesting?
Interesting from your point of view. What one did you feel you could identify with or that you enjoyed most doing?
I enjoyed different things about different parts, and
What about the singing in for instance, the Fabulous Baker Boys?
I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoy things that I don't consider my profession, and if I have the opportunity to do them in a film, I enjoy them much more than the acting because I don't put as much pressure on myself. So, they knew that I wasn't a professional singer, so I really was able to have fun. And like with the fighting in this film, it was a lot of fun for me because I knew that however good I could get it, that was just an added bonus, really, that I had stunt people to do it if I really failed.
Yeah. Is it a conscious thing for you to keep changing? Because if one looks at your, starting with Grease 2 and moving down through the movies you've made.
No, I just think that I'm just usually ready to do something really different after I finish a film. I've pretty much spent that desire for that kind of character, and I'm really, really ready to shed it and ready to do something else.
Yeah. Do you have any ambitions for directing? For instance, Danny DeVito is directing something now here in Chicago, Hoffa. Would you like to direct?
I have certain interests in doing that. It really intimidates me. I don't know that I will actually ever do it. But I'm always in everybody's business.
You got your nose stuck in everybody's
I do.
job.
Yeah, I've always done it, and I really think that.
Do you think you're hard to work with because of that? Do you think, here she comes, she's interfering again?
Here comes Miss Busybody.
Yeah.
No. actually. I don't,
Well, you wouldn't,
I don't
would you?
think so.
You
I mean,
wouldn't admit to it,
I mean,
would you?
nobody. Well, nobody would tell me probably.
How about working with this director? Did you have an input into that? Into the film? Did you have your own view of how Catwoman should be?
Really, it was a discovery, and the character was pretty clearly drawn.
Which one of the, because she's not just schizophrenic, I think there's 3 sides to this character.
4, really.
4, what's the other one?
I don't know if I should really get into this specific, because
Okay.
I really don't want to spoil it for people.
Oh, I'm sure you won't.
I'll tell you after.
As in Batman, the lovable half-rodent, half-human, on whose shiny cold shoulders the fate of Gotham City rests, is played by Michael Keaton.
Take one step closer, Mr. Man. You missed.
Wow. The Batman. Or is it just Batman?
Michael, the last time I think we met, you said that if you never saw another flying rodent again as long as you lived, it would be too soon.
Except for bats. No. Yeah, I was. You were right. I was at that point, I was ready just to, but that was 3 years ago. So here we are.
And what lured you back?
The idea that Tim Burton was directing the sequel, I had never played a character 2 times before. The idea the story was good, and it was time to do it. Just time to do it again.
Do you have the same kind of view as Tim Burton?
Yes.
Not the cartoon character,
No.
rather more the gothic.
Right. When he first sent me the script, I thought he was doing it to be nice. The Batman that I knew, and I didn't know much about Batman or Bat people or bats, was a kind of arms akimbo, kind of superhero, you know, kind of cardboardish, plastic kind of removed kind of thing.
Because he's blacker even this time. He
Oh,
used that
yeah,
word
this
again
time.
than the last time.
Yeah.
He's more schizoid even.
Well, the first time we sat down and talked about a sequel or another Batman, because it really is just another movie, I said, I don't want more to do, but I think we should make it richer. Make everything that I do a little richer and crisper and cleaner. And I also kind of wanted to lighten him up a little bit. So there are moments where there are a few more humorous moments, even though sometimes the comedy is black. I lighten him up a bit. You know?
Hard to act in that suit, obviously.
It's hard to work in the sense that it's, I mean, as an actor, you can't really hear clearly. Your peripheral vision is limited. You've kind of got hooded eyes, and you can't move very well. It's very constricting on your, from actually the top of your head to the tip of your toes. And that works for the character in terms of finding an isolation, which was great. Because I noticed when I was in London doing the first one, I was on the set, and I felt very far away from everybody, and I thought, this is kind of cool. So I just kind of let myself disappear, because the character is actually a person who hides behind things, and even Bruce Wayne keeps himself at a distance, and because of what his background is, he's a very isolated, kind of distant man sometimes. So that was fine. Practicality, in terms of, you know, practically working day to day, not being able to hear and see has its obvious drawback, because we'd be working and there'd be generators blasting sound and air being forced into the room, and noise, and Michelle couldn't really hear very well out of her suit either, so we'd be 30 feet away sometimes doing a scene, and I'd pretty much just watch her lips, and I'd say, yeah, she looks like she might be finished. You know, and I try to time it for that and have the same intensity and the same intention, you know, hoping that I wasn't stepping on her lines or she wasn't going to say something else, because I couldn't really hear her tell. And it was everything I could do not to be in a scene to kind of go, sorry.
Do you find yourself more receptive to high-pitched whistles now?
Yes, I do. That's the great irony of this thing. Bats exist in a world of sonar. and I playing Bat, and I can't even hear, which I find kind of great. They also decided to try to put a zipper this year to kind of aid making a trip to the bathroom, which kind of worked, except sometimes there were camera angles where you would see the zipper. So instead of breaking down the lighting setup and having everyone kind of adjust so that we didn't see the zipper, I would try to adjust my body, which would, I'd be doing kind of a macho kind of Batman thing, and I'd say, "Are you seeing zipper? Okay, hold on a minute," and find myself sitting like this, which doesn't work for the character a lot. You kind of want this kind of thing, and I'm giving you a lot of
Well, you
this
see,
little
bats
cake.
don't care about zippers. They just let it go, don't they?
In mid-flight sometimes.
Yeah, all over the place. You were originally a comedian, weren't you? I mean, that's where you started.
Yeah.
Stand-up.
I mean, I was an actor doing primarily very limited stage work, and I mean, really limited stage work, and doing comedies, and then I started to do stand-up, writing my own material.
How do you feel the way it's gone? It can't have gone the way you thought it would.
Well, not in terms of playing a character like Batman. I mean, that had the impact over the world that it has. No, I mean, I would have never guessed that, and that wasn't anything I was looking for. But having a background in comedy and being through that was a real plus, because that's a war out there, and you're a grunt, as they called them in Vietnam. You're going out there in the front lines fighting a real fight that most actors don't know about, and there are real pluses to that.
Your real name is Michael Douglas. Why didn't you stick with that?
Because there were two people in the union, one of them, Michael Douglas, who had that name, and you couldn't. I got a job, and contractually you couldn't have people the same.
Whatever
name in the
happened to
union or something
that other Michael Douglas?
I don't know. Never heard from him again.
Never made it.
Tough break for him.
Yeah.
He's doing porno movies, I think, right now, like
I'm enjoying
Basic Instinct or something. No. He's a good guy, actually. I finally have met Michael Douglas. That's not even his real name. I'm the only one who had the real name. That's the irony here.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a talk show host. His name wasn't Mike Douglas. His name was something else. Michael Douglas's real name, his father's name, was something else. My name's Michael Douglas. They made me change it. I think something should be done about this.
Yes.
Want to start now?
You didn't invite me, so I crashed!
Batman Returns is by Hammer Films out of your worst nightmare. Eerily gothic, designed to frighten the horses. A typical piece of work by Hollywood's hottest young director, Tim Burton. Are you pleased with the end result of Batman Returns? A hard question to ask.
Well, I always think of the movies, the things that I've done is kind of like my weird children in a way. I mean, I love them. Yeah, they may have little flaws here and there, but I'm happy. I do like this very much.
Having seen it, it's even more than the first one. It's gothic, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
kind of like a horror movie.
Well, that's what the world, that's what attracted me to the world of Batman. I think it was, I wasn't a big comic book fan, but this world with these weird characters at night in the city, it had a very interiorized, almost like you're in somebody's mind in a way, and I enjoyed that about these characters, and that it's not simply good and evil. There's characters with split personalities, and there are all these weird crossovers, and I just, I like that about this material.
Yeah, I mean, it's based originally on a cartoon, but there's not that many laughs in it.
Well, comics are weird, comics are it's a funny word, isn't it? Because most comic books, even throughout the history of comic books, weren't that funny. I mean, it's a weird word for it, isn't it?
I think perhaps people forget that it was the television series that changed the image of Batman.
Yes.
Because when Batman started as a comic, it was based on a bat, which is an eerie kind of
In
animal.
fact, sometimes it was much more hardcore than even the movie, in a way. And I think that, well, and that's what's so strange about this material is like comic book fans, don't like the TV series. People that know the TV series don't even really know about the comic book. So it's like these weird factions that are out there. And so that's why we just try to make something our own kind of movie and try to be true to the spirit of it, but see what happens.
Gotham City looks like an apocalyptic vision of what a city may turn out to be. Where is it placed? Where is it?
Well, you know, that's again, it's what's great about this material is that it's all kind of symbolic. You know, it's like to me it works in the same way, the same reason I like certain myths or fairy tales. It's like real heightened, weird images that you you know, you can thematically, you know, what's happening to our world, what's happening to our cities, how are we changing, what are people like, you know, how weird is it getting, and. What's really weird to me is that we did this movie and stuff, and for as unreal as it is, I don't know if it's because I'm working on the movie, but I find all these weird connections with the politics that are going on, with what happened in LA and this horrible looting. And I mean, actually, I think if the Penguin ran for president, he might actually win in our country.
Well, yes. I mean, if current form is anything to go by, he seems
The
to have
outsider.
had a chance. You have a fondness for the bizarre, don't you? You have a fondness. Were you brought up on fairy tales? Because that's exactly what it is. It's your films are kind of the princess pricks her finger with the needle and falls into a trance.
I think I've always responded to them. I don't know if I read them specifically. I was much more, I grew up much more on the kind of horror movies and monster movies and things, which, you know, for me and growing up served as fairy tales. You know, it served the same purpose in that way for me.
Vincent Price was a great hero of yours.
Yeah, yeah. You know, he sort of, those kind of movies really kind of, you know, those kind of movies were much more positive for me in terms of understanding abstract feelings than they were negative.
Now, would you be happy for children of any age to see Batman Returns?
I do believe that they have their own barometers, you know, and if they are freaked out about something, then they'll leave.
Yeah. I imagine that people say that there's a lot of violence in Batman, isn't there? A lot of explosion, a lot of killing.
It's weird though. I you know, there are two sides to those issues, I think, and maybe it does have some effect on society and our culture. But for me, a movie like this, which is so far removed in a way, I only see it as working as a kind of a cathartic way, and not necessarily. I mean, nobody's going to take out their umbrellas and go, you know, shooting people. You know, it's like, you know, it's removed. And
now you've got a lot of other characters waiting in the wings, so we're going to have Batman, Part the Third, Son of Batman. Yeah.
Not necessarily. Well, you know, not right now. Not for me. It's like, you know, kind of a bats flying out of the walls right now. You know, I can't quite handle it right now.
So, thanks to Tim Burton, to Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, and Michael Keaton. All right, chums, back to the Batcave.